What is going on, YouTube family? Welcome back to another episode where we're going to be talking about the NAS100. I want to thank you all for coming over. You saw the thumbnail, clicked it, want to see what the show is all about. So I'm not going to waste any more of your precious time. We're just going to get straight into it. So this is the work that we did for last week Wednesday, right? And I've changed the color around of this just to make it a little bit more pleasing to the eye. It's pleasing to my eye anyways, right? I said a number of things about price zigzagging and breaking its way down, right? There is an alternative viewpoint that the NAS is going to be going up, breaking, pushing up to the upside. I don't think I fully understand what those guys were talking about when they're saying pushing to the upside, because in my opinion, it's only going up when this breaks above, when this breaks this overall structure and pushes above these levels. That is when, in my opinion, it's going up. But other people will say this is an uptrend, which it is, but it's a false one. It's a misleading one, in my opinion, right? So anyways, we're just going to get straight into it. So I took a trade on Wednesday. I took two trades on Wednesday, okay? One of them went bad because it was a bad trade, and the other went good, but greed set in and therefore I lost, right? And that was this wick right here, So I'm going to go into a lower time frame and then explain to you exactly what happened, how it happened, what I learned from it. Okay, so the first trade I did was at this level right here, right? I was selling the market and I got closed out roughly about right here, because I thought it was at a high point and it was only going to push down lower, and I was right, but the timing was wrong, so I lost that trade. And then the second trade was at roughly the same location because I went back in again. I was that confident and I was right to a degree, but then something else happened, which is I watched all of this happen. So I watched all of these reds come down, right? All of these reds over here, and I didn't bring in a trading stop, which I should have done, but I didn't. And then price went all the way back up and then closed me out, at which point I decided I was going to stay out the market. So I haven't been in a trade today, and I'm still waiting for an opportunity to present itself so I can jump in, right? So I'm just going to get rid of these for now. So in all, I lost about 90 pips on Tuesday's trade, okay? So at the moment, let's talk about what we got going on here, right? So let me lock this little thingamajig because I don't want this moving around. Okay. So at the moment, we're going to talk about what we got going on here, and there is an interesting situation that's happening in this zone right now, okay? That could either go good or it could go bad, okay? So the first thing that I've noticed in regards to this overall structure right here, and we're looking at this on the hourly, would be the head and shoulders. So we have shoulder number one here, head over here, right? It's kind of like a double head, right? And we now have a shoulder over here, a double head and shoulder, right? That's what we got going on over here. So I'm expecting price to break downwards, right? But at the same time, we have this structure too that has emerged, right? So we have this over here, and then we have this over here. And we have this over here, right? And remember what I was saying was that I was going to take sales when it breaks below, right? That is kind of what I thought I saw in this area, but I thought I was catching it at a nice zone. But what I should have done was I should have waited for it to actually break through, and that's some of the stuff that us traders we do. Well, not us, I'm going to speak for myself. That's some of the stuff that I do, some of the mistakes that I make, that I kind of need to work on to make sure that I stop making those mistakes, because it's not the first time I've done it, and I've got to make sure that I reduce that type of impulsive type trades because they never really work out for me, right? But for some weird reason, I always keep doing them, and I kind of need to stop. So what we got going on at the moment, right here, in regards to this structure over here, is this is what I think we're going to get. I think we're going to get pushed to the downside, possibly tonight, early hours of the morning, and somewhere in the afternoon of Thursday, right, we could get something like this, or it might even break up. Why do I say it might break up? Because of this structure that we've got right here, right? But at the same time that I've drawn this out for you, there's also a head and shoulders right here, and that head and shoulders most likely would break downwards. Okay, so you see, when I turn around and sometimes I say that this structure doesn't always break up to the upside, all right, that actually could be the case because of the head and shoulders. So that is two scenarios that I've mentioned. So first we have the head and shoulders with the chances of it breaking all the way down, right? And then we have this overall channel right here breaking up to the upside. But there also is another one that I want to bring to your attention. There is another structure that I want to talk to you guys about. It's in the process of forming, right? But kind of want to see what it's going to do. And that is if this channel goes on for this long, right? Which a part of me believes it will. The channel goes on for a little bit longer. So it bounces around here for what would seem like an eternity. Right? I don't know what just happened there. Okay, let's do that again. So it bounces around like this for a little while. Creates a double bottom and then begins its ascent to the upside, which too could be another channel, right? So these are the scenarios that I'm looking at that I think market could kind of produce. Right? This is what I think it could happen. And it confirms the structure overall, because you have one touch here, one touch here, one touch here, a long drag to the downside, and then a push to the upside. Because even with the shorter version, where it zigzags and it breaks its structure and shoots up, it has to return back to this level. But the main thing about this level is the daily low, which is what I'm kind of factoring at the moment. And I know it has to return there, but I don't think it's going to return there at this level, at this particular level. So it's either going to break up, my first assessment, break up to the upside, and then bring its way down to around this level at some point, right? So it's going to hang around here for a bit and then come down, or it's going to do this, right? But either way, there is a couple of things that I'm going to need to factor in terms of if I'm going to ride this position over here, how I'm going to ride it. So if I know that there's a chance that price is going to be pushing up to the upside ever so slightly before it breaks back down again, so between here and here it's about possibly maybe 1,000 pips, give or take. So let's just measure it real quick and just have a look. Yep, so it's about 1,000 pips. Right, so it's about 1,000 pips to the side, to the upside over here. So taking buys up here for this overall channel. So this channel right now to us is worth about 1,000 pips if we catch it right. If we catch it right, yeah, in my opinion. So that is what I'm kind of thinking is going to happen, right? Now the question is, what is the value of these positions at certain points in certain points within the trend? So for example, at this particular level, so this level right here, we're looking at 500 pips at this level, and that is providing it breaks to the upside, because that's what this this whole situation will be based off, that it spilling to the upside before it comes back down again. But in order to do that, it's going to need to touch the bottom. Okay, so as you kind of work our way all the way down to these levels, our pip size will begin to increase depending on what market does and if we catch it right. But ultimately, this overall structure is going to do one thing when it gets to the end of whatever it is that it's doing, is that it's going to break down, right? So if I grab this, unlock it, and push it all the way up to say to about here, let's say we zoom out a little bit, we can kind of say this. So it goes up, it touches this level, just peaks above this structure, and then breaks down and possibly do some consolidations at certain key levels. So we get a little consolidation here, we get a little consolidation here, and we get a little consolidation there, and then it makes its way all the way down to this level right here, right? So these are the things that I think could potentially happen within the coming days and weeks, right? Now, normally I will take you through the NAS components, but I'm just basically just going to show you how it looks. And we can see that it's kind of split in the middles. Well, not in the middles, in the middle between the reds and the greens. So all the big boys, most of them are all in green. So Tesla, Google, Amazon, Netflix, and Facebook is in the green, Apple's in the red, and Microsoft's in the red. And the rest of them, they're the little boys, so we don't really worry too much about them. As a matter of fact, I do use them, but let's face it, I actually use the other ones way more. I value their inputs way more than I do these ones. So let me get rid of all of those and just keep it to these ones we've got up here, right? So this is what I think is going to be happening in the markets in the coming days and weeks. And I'm just trying to work out what I should be looking for in the coming days as well. Should I be looking for more buying opportunities, or should I be looking for more selling opportunities? Because this whole channel right here is worth about 1,000 pips, right? It's worth about 1,000 pips to the upside, and it's worth about, so if you look at where price is now and we bring it down, it's worth about 800 pips to the downside, right? And it's worth about 1,000 pips to the upside based on current location. But if it was right at the top, this is 1,000 pips to the downside. If it was right at the bottom, it's 1,000 pips to the upside. That's the size of this channel, right? So I'm in two minds as to how I'm going to play it in the coming days and weeks. I'm possibly going to work out if I'm going to be in a trade tomorrow, depending on what market does. So with that said, guys, right, I want to thank you for coming over and watching another episode of Pips and Points. If you find the content useful and you want to see more content just like this, hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification, and hit the like. Costs you absolutely nothing. And obviously, that's if you found value in the information I've just shared with you today. So with that said, guys, I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. And for now, this is Pips and Points signing out.